Hey guys, all right, so I'm going to go over and talk about just a few of the extra pieces of notes that go along with our unit on imperialism. So if you have the notes, it's the notes, and again, go in Google Classroom, look under Chapter 14, and it's titled Section 1 and 2, which is your PowerPoint slide for Imperialism Begins, and then Chapter 14, Section 3 is your PowerPoint on World Power, which is the one that I'm going to be talking about the extra pieces in today. Okay. All right. So let's talk about our journey as the United States, our journey into becoming this giant world power. So, reminders, we acquired Hawaii. We decided to annex them. We overthrew the farmers, not the farmers, we overthrew the natives. In 1893, we are going to annex them to become a territory, and then they don't become a state until 1954. The Philippines, if you will remember, the Philippines were acquired. We purchased the Philippines for $20 million from the Spanish at the end of the Spanish-American War. The Philippines, the natives, the Filipinos are going to fight us tooth and nail because they do not want to be controlled by another country. I mean, they didn't enjoy being controlled by the Spanish, and they especially don't want to be passed on to somebody else. So the Philippines and the United States have a 3-year war as the Filipinos are fighting the United States because they want their independence. And it's really kind of upsetting if you think about it, because just like how we treated Native Americans, just how we treated the Hawaiians, we're almost trying to beat it into them. We want to help you. But they just want to be left alone. They want to be able to control themselves. They want to be left alone. They are going to be given their independence, but they don't become an independent country until a little bit later on in the 1940s. Howard Taft, William Howard Taft, who actually is going to be a future president, is going to be sent in to be the governor. He's going to help and establish education, a railroad and transportation system, health care. Again, we are pushing on them and pretty much forcing on them to westernize themselves or almost Americanize themselves. But again, the Philippines, kind of a long, hard fight against, they don't want our influence like we think they need our influence. But anyway, so 1946, we finally give them their independence and they become an independent country. All right, Puerto Rico, again, kind of one of those consolation prizes of the Spanish-American War. Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States. We get them as a territory through the Treaty of Paris, which ends the Spanish-American War. And their citizens do get certain perks. They can join our military. They can come into the United States. They kind of, not only do they get to govern themselves, but they also have us as a protectorate. So it's kind of like they have the best of both worlds in some sense, anyway. All right, the Teller Amendment and the Platt Amendment. So the Teller Amendment guarantees Cuba their independence after the war is over. The Platt Amendment, which we tell Cuba they need to make sure that they include in their new constitution. The Platt Amendment says that we get a naval base, which is Guantanamo Bay. We get a naval base. We also can interfere if there's another country that's trying to take them over, that we will make sure that they're not made into a colony again. That they cannot enter into treaties with other nations without letting us know. That these are all things that we have kind of fought for the right to have, sticking our nose in their business because we did help them fight for their freedom. All right, now let's switch gears and talk about what's happening in Asia. So China is got all these untapped resources, and we've really been pushing to get China to open up its doors to trade. That's where a lot of your vocab comes into play. Sphere of influence is talking about when larger nations are kind of pushing their will on other nations. We're trying to control them economically and really kind of force that on them. We're trying to throw them out, hey, we will help you build your own railroad. We'll help you with mining. But really, we just kind of see dollar signs flashing before our eyes as an opportunity for us, not really for so much for them. John Hay, who is our Secretary of State under William McKinley, is going to write what we call the Open Door Notes, just saying that we finally got China to agree to open up their doors of trade, which is, again, the open door policy. We also have, after McKinley dies in office, his VP, which is Theodore Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt, is actually going to be one of the presidents that we have that wins the Nobel Peace Prize. Japan and Russia, who were watching China pretty closely too, they're looking at all the resources and the money that can be made. They get into what we call the Russo-Japanese War, to where they're fighting over land and territory. Roosevelt steps in and acts as a mediator between the two. So he's given the Nobel Peace Prize for being the mediator in that and helping to resolve the Russo-Japanese War. Panama is the next big one. As we're expanding and becoming this world power, we really need a way to quickly and efficiently get to our other territories: Hawaii, Alaska, the Philippines, Guam. So here's what we're going to come up with, okay? And forgive my drawing, I know it's terrible. So North America, South America, Central America. So we were previously having to go all the way around South America to be able to get from East Coast to West Coast. Well, that's not very efficient. It takes a lot of time, and so we're like, the smallest space for us to squeeze between, the smallest area that we could cut out for a canal would be Panama. Well, Panama is controlled by Colombia, and Colombia's already told us no to build a canal. They're like, no. But we also hear that the Panamanese would like their independence, and so we're like, yeah, sure, we'll give you supplies and money, and we'll help you and help you fight or finance your fight for independence. They get their independence, and of course, building the canal is our prize for helping them. So it takes about 10 years of construction. It is dangerous. People are dying from a lot of disease, like we talked about with the Spanish-American War, but also accidents, a lot of accidents. So takes 10 years. This is all part of Roosevelt's big stick policy. Speak softly, but carry a big stick, meaning my actions speak louder than words. If you don't believe me, then just watch, right? That's kind of the idea of it. So we build on our foreign policy. It was the Monroe Doctrine, which said, no other country should interfere in our neighborhood. And then it went on to the Roosevelt Corollary, to where if something does happen in our neighborhood, we will use military intervention. And then it went on to, after Roosevelt, is Taft, and Taft is dollar diplomacy. If we need money and financial assistance to help our neighbors, we will. And then it goes to Wilson, and what Wilson calls his moral diplomacy, to where we will help with military and financial aid as long as it's something that we deem to be morally sound and good. We won't help with countries that deal with terrorism. We won't help with countries that do illegal trades and drugs and things like that. So anyway, there's a big debate. Some countries agree with us, some countries don't. A lot of countries are not big fans of the U.S. because they kind of think that we're two-faced. We don't practice what we preach. We're segregated and don't treat our own immigrants and citizens well, but yet we're telling other countries they need to do it a certain way. So anyway, we definitely have people that are anti-imperialist and also people that are anti-US for obvious reasons. All right, that's it. Bye, guys.